Welcome to MLR Weekly, as presented by Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in New York City. Thanks for tuning in. We have a great show, including the new general manager of the Chicago Hounds, Will McGee, John Fitzpatrick with Rugby Morning's Coffee Break, and Pat Clifton of the College Rugby Show on the College Rugby Corner. Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly brought to you by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, New York City, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle.
There is a massive responsibility on the 23 that are privileged enough to step out on that field today.
Let's get it all started with Rugby Morning's Coffee Break with John Fitzpatrick, an over-caffeinated John Fitzpatrick, calling in from the greater Los Angeles area. John, welcome back to MLR Weekly. What do you got, 68 degrees in Los Angeles?
Yeah, hey, Matt, if you give me $20, I'll shovel your driveway for you.
Okay. Come on out. We only have about a foot of snow here in New York, but it's glorious. Anyway, let's get back to rugby. What do you have for us?
Yeah, Matt, I want to know what's going on, the latest in the conversations between Major League Rugby officials and Major League Rugby Player Association officials. Of course, that's a union that represents MLR players. Matt, going back to last week's episode, they're still talking. Is no news good news? We're a month out from training camps starting. Are you getting nervous?
I'm always nervous, but no news is good news. They're still banging out some final details on their collective bargaining agreement. If it is ironed out, it will be the first one in league history. And probably a good thing going forward for other investors and trying to get, a gauge of the organization. And I think it's a good thing. But there's really no news as per last time we spoke, because they were convening for 2 weeks or so and getting back at it, and they'll in the coming days. So no news is good news. There were some positive vibes, which is great. Let's keep our fingers crossed and full steam ahead. Next.
Yeah, well, that's not stopping the MLR teams from announcing some player re-signings or signings. Let's start with Old Glory DC. They've signed hooker Connor Robinson, Beantown native. I believe his nickname is Boggs, like Wade Boggs, the chicken guy.
Wade Boggs, who won a World Series with the Yankees. Next.
Yeah, Chicago, they have announced they've re-signed center Ali Devoto, big bruising runner. Strong retooling there for Chicago. I hear you're going to have GM Will McGee on in just a moment.
That's right. He is in the green room waiting, and that's a great re-signing. He was a bruising, as you say, back, and a great addition for them last year in the middle of that field. But we'll get his perspective on the trade. Not that yours doesn't matter. Next.
Yeah, staying in the Southland, maybe, because he played there, but scrum half Gonzalo Bertrano is going to play for the entire state of California. That's right, the California Legion have signed Gonzalo Bertrano. Matt, fun, exciting player. You never know when he's going to tap and go. What do you think of that re-signing?
Well, number one, you got that snide thing about the Southland. Like, everybody on the planet's going to know what that means. Like, explain that it's the LA/Southern California area. I love the signing. He is a great player. He was one of the better players in the league, obviously, last year. And I like the fact that he's got a little grit because he spends some time in the sin bin.
Matt, speaking of the sin bin, where in the world is Brian Ray?
Brian Ray, our last reports were, and this is about a month and a half ago, had his snowshoes on, a backpack, a couple of dogs, and an ice pick, and he was headed north. And he lives pretty north to begin with. He's in Halifax, Nova Scotia, folks. Look on the map. So we haven't heard from him since, but hopefully he'll check in. Anything else?
Is he heading north? Is he heading north to defend Greenland?
We can't comment on that at this time. Next.
Yeah, Matt, I want to close out here. Obviously looking forward to a Super Bowl matchup. You got the New England Free Jacks versus the Seattle Seawolves.
I see what you did there. Clever. But no, we might see them in the MLR final come late June at blank stadium. Anything else, John, before we let you go?
No, blankety blank blank.
All right, good. Thanks, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning's Coffee Break with another stellar installment. We'll have a much better one with Will McGee, the general manager of the Chicago Hounds. Easy for me to say after this break.
Mercy me, that could have put him in Ward 4.
I hope not, Bill. That's a maternity ward.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
We're back with Will McGee, the general manager of the Chicago Hounds, newly appointed as per this season or this offseason general manager. Welcome to the MLR Weekly program.
Thanks, Matt. It's always good to be on here.
Yeah, we haven't had you on here since you were a player, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think just after I retired, I came on and did oh no, maybe not on MLR Weekly, but one of the other shows.
Sure. This is a great way to start. They confused me for a different program. Thanks, Will.
No.
It's great talking to Will McGee. Thanks, Will. Best of luck.
No, one
Best
of your
of luck to
shows.
you and the Arrows. No, in all seriousness, congratulations. So I just want, for people at home that don't know you, you have a bit of an accent. You're an Englishman, but you are an American as well because you represented Team USA in the World Cup. But you've also had a career playing professionally here in the United States, including the first ever iteration of professional rugby on American soil, Pro Rugby USA. Yeah, we're going way back. And I got to tell you something. I loved that league. And specifically the final, there were no playoffs. It was your Stampede going into the Fortress in Obetz, Ohio, just outside Columbus, to face the Ohio Aviators with guys like Dylan Fawcett on that team, right? And who knew? Full circle. But you, sir, I would argue, were solely responsible for the Denver Stampede winning that first and only Pro Rugby USA Cup. But there was there? I'm not even sure if there was a cup. But do you know why I'm crediting you with this?
I don't, but I'm not taking the credit, so I'll hear you out.
Oh, no. Week number 1, you hit the kick that gave your team the victory over the Ohio Aviators, and who knew that final was going to come down to points on the table. And even though your team lost in overtime in a thrilling match to the Ohio Aviators, when all the fans thought their team won the championship, they didn't, because it was a point differential, and you just got by the Ohio Aviators, and it was because of that kick in week 1.
I'll take it, but we had a fantastic team and great coaching, and it was a season. So it was that was a fun day. We knew we needed the 2 bonus points to win the league, and we got them somehow. So it was a good day. But a lot of friends on that organization still to this day, amongst all 5 of the teams now, that then sort of transferred into MLR, and a lot of my closest friends still hold from that time. So it was awesome time. Not quite as good as the MLR, but it was a good time.
And we had an epic time at the airport because of delays. So
the party continued.
The party continued, and Steve Lewis and I just happened to be in the airport when you guys were in the airport, and that was just epic. That was a lot of fun.
That was a good time.
But all right, that was then. Let's get to now. We've got the reality of the MLR, and you, sir, are not a player any longer. You're the general manager. So I've got a lot of questions here, but my first question for you is, do you think that you'll attain the level of success that where people will stop calling you Will Magie and start calling you by your real name, Will McGee?
It doesn't bother me either way. Hopefully the success comes and all the credit will go to the players and the coaching staff. Ultimately, that's the key, what we want. And it doesn't bother me one way or another. So I appreciate you though for pronouncing it correctly.
All right, let's talk about the Hounds.
Yes.
Busy off season. We're still standing Major League Rugby as of right now. We got season 9 kicking off at the end of March. Very exciting. Tell us about some of the signings the new guys and some of that you've retained.
Yeah, so like you said, obviously busy off season, a few changes within the league structure. A lot of players became free agents for a number of different reasons. So first things first for us was kind of working really closely with the coaching staff about who's a non-negotiable that we want back in the locker room for next year. And, we've done some really good recruitment over the last few years as an organization. So it was important for us to get the right players back involved with the Hounds for this upcoming season. So we kind of started there, and with a big focus on our domestic players initially. So that was really important for us. So, guys coming back like Otti Pifoletti, Luke White, Chris Hilsenbeck, trying to go through the rest of the roster, Michael Basker at scrum half, like all these guys were like really important for us, and trying to build that like spine of the team out. And then we went on to some of the non-negotiable foreign players that we had from last year as well. So the likes of Ollie Devoto, who we obviously announced this week coming back, which was huge for us. Lucas Rumble, who was our club captain last year. McLean Jones, Mason Flesh, the list goes kind of on and on. So that was kind of a bit around the structure and process that we went through as a rugby staff. And it was a very collective effort. Myself, Chris, James English, obviously still having input at the time, and then Todd and Noel, who are our assistant coaches as well. So real collaborative effort. That was good. We built the sort of the framework there, and then we were like, right, let's go to market and fill in some of these gaps, both players that were becoming available, domestic and foreign. So Tavita Lepetti was obviously a big one for us to replace Bryce Campbell, who retired. That was pretty big. Second row was a big priority for us, trying to go as domestic as possible there. So bringing in Nathan Denhoot, who's on the eligibility pathway for the Eagles.
That's a nice addition right there.
Yeah,
right?
which was awesome. So he was a big one for us. And then, a couple younger guys who are capped already in Thomas Caceres and Brandon Harvey, who we have pretty high expectations for. So, it was a real busy period. A lot of late night phone calls to all corners of the globe, which was pretty cool. My first experience really dealing with, agents, player, coaches, back and forth, negotiating, all of that sort of stuff. But really good lessons learned, and we're pretty happy with the team we've put together.
So, it must be a bit tricky for you because, as you say, these are all friends of yours for the most part. They're your contemporaries because you're not an old guy. You're young. And, you got all these players that either from Team USA or playing throughout professional rugby here in the States. And you were with Austin as well and Glendale, right? So how tricky is that for you? Well, how slippery is that slope?
I wouldn't say it was that difficult. I think first and foremost, most of the time dealing with the agents, so that creates like an organic barrier, I guess. Have had to have some difficult conversations with guys that I do respect and, close friends, close acquaintances, guys I've played with. My hope is that, as I continue on this career path, that I kind of just do it with utmost honesty, transparency, respect, integrity, and guys that I hopefully.
Oh, that's not going to go anywhere. You got to learn how to lie right to their face.
but ultimately, we talk with the players a lot at the beginning of the season, how they want to receive feedback and all of that sort of stuff. And 9 times out of 10, they do say that they want upfront, direct honesty. The difficult part is whether they can actually receive that feedback that way. So at least if we're giving it to them how they want to receive it, then that's kind of half the battle there, in my opinion. So, and then in terms of the guys that I played with, hopefully they knew me, they knew how I was as a player, and I wasn't the most talented guy. I worked hard. I tried to put my best foot forward, off the field, on the field, and hopefully some of those values that that we built up collectively kind of shine through in the way that I go about my business now.
And the business now has changed dramatically. The philosophy of the league has now basically put the national team in front and trying to develop those players. And as a result, you have 7 foreign slots per match day 23. How many foreign slots are you carrying this year so far?
We are at 9.
And do you see that increasing, or you're staying at 9?
We'll stay at 9. We've kind of looked at it, at least from a Chicago perspective, rather than foreign players, more foreign position focused. So we've duplicated in a couple of positions. So you're likely not to see, a foreign center starting and then a foreign center on the bench. It's likely we'll have a foreign center starting and then maybe, a foreign, a domestic guy on the bench that can cover, just because, we want to be able to put the best team out on a consistent basis. But sure. Chris will pick the best players. Ultimately, we have 7 slots available. I wouldn't be surprised if we use 5 at one stage this season. So Like we think that we've done some good business with bringing in some of the best domestic guys, certainly some of the best up and coming potential US Eagles as well as current Eagles. And that's really exciting for us because I know it's something that I'm really passionate about, and I know it's something that Chris is really passionate about too.
And you came up. I want to talk about the pathway for you being general manager. You went from player to working with or developing rugby in the community in Indianapolis or Indiana, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, for about a year and a half.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, it was good. So kind of went out there, for a group that was looking to grow the game out in Indianapolis, twofold really. One through, helping drive that like professional like culture and understanding, and potentially look at putting an MLR team in Indianapolis one day. And then the second part was more around like where you would do that and the facility development, which was really interesting. So yeah, I kind of got to see full 360 of how that would work. Got out to a lot of local schools, a lot of local colleges, boys, girls, everything. So it was really fun. It was really enjoyable. When it kind of came to a head that we probably were still a few years away from having the investment to put a professional team there. That's sort of when I started to look at, other options and what might have been available out there. And the timing kind of worked out perfectly with an opportunity up in Chicago.
Excellent. Excellent. So do you think that Indianapolis would be an MLR city in the future?
Yeah, hopefully, possibly. I think, these like mid-market cities in the US have had, really good history with professional sports. You look at kind of more around like the USL model potentially. Bryce Campbell, who we obviously talked about before, is doing some fantastic work down there now with a facility that they're turning into a purpose-built rugby facility, which is pretty exciting. So yeah, hopefully down the line, get a team in Indianapolis. Be awesome for local rivalries. I think rivalry is what sport's all about.
Yeah.
When you look back to when, the Free Jacks and the Ironworkers were going head to head, we'd love nothing more in Chicago than to have a close geographical rival, which I'm sure our fans would get around. It would be awesome.
Well, bring back the Ohio Aviators. I mean, those fans, that happened organically. They were in a field and they called it the Fortress. And then in the off season, they built a stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that place is screaming for a team in my estimation, but the money's not there right now. But again, those small market teams, you're right. Again, I go back to the guy that walked into the NFL room when they were forming the league and said, "Hey, I want to put a team in Green Bay." Right? They must have thought he was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And look, it's worked perfectly. So what's the stamp? What's the Will McGee stamp on a team when you're looking back on this season after it's in the books?
I hope it's not my stamp, right? It's a collective thing, and we have.
Good answer, Will. Good answer.
We've truly built this collaboratively, which has been the most exciting part for me. Chris and Noel get back here in a couple of days, or back to Chicago in a couple of days' time, which I'm super excited for, and we'll have about a month of real hard planning and prep for the season. But I think ultimately we've kind of talked about this virtually when we've been catching up and all that sort of stuff. Is we feel now that Chicago over the past few seasons has earned the right to sit at that top table. Now that doesn't mean you're guaranteed it year on year, but we feel we've put in the hard work. We've earned the right. We've earned the right to be, respected. We've earned the right to be feared. People know what sort of style we're going to play. We've added to that, and yeah, I think we're going to put out a team that's tough, uncompromising, and determined to win a championship.
If the Hounds don't win the championship, who will?
One of the other 5 teams.
Oh, wow. You've learned fast, Grasshopper. Huh? Nicely done. All right, Will, what's the one thing that you want to say to fans of Chicago out there?
I think just keep showing up. Like, we love having you guys out at Dogtown. The tailgate is an incredible experience. Like, so if you're in the area and you haven't come out before a game, come out and experience that. We've got some exciting stuff that's going to be dropping. I don't know when this episode's coming out, but we've got some exciting stuff around our 5th home game that's coming out soon. So yeah, come out and support us at home, and then come out and see us at this neutral site game. It's going to be a great time. And yeah, we're hoping to bring a shield back to Chicago on June 22nd.
So Will, before I let you go, I got 2 different topics. Just briefly, what are you guys doing to develop the community around the team?
So we've got an amazing Imagine Rugby program that's headed up by Janet Keane. So she's going into schools, working with a former player, Willis Goodwin, who's also part of the Chicago Lions, and going in and just bringing rugby to the community. I think over 20,000 kids last year were introduced to rugby, which is phenomenal work from Janet. And then that's obviously supplemented with some of our players going in at the back end to meet the teachers and the players, the kids who have played rugby that first time. We also do a fantastic thing where we have a suite for all of our games, which is like the teacher suite, where Janet can invite those teachers to come in and like actually see a professional game and kind of get excited by that at no cost to them. And then obviously like they've felt that experience and whatnot, and then that can resonate back into the community. A lot of our players are embedded in that, Chicago, the Midwest has like such fantastic, men's club rugby, women's club rugby, youth, high school, all of that sort of stuff. A lot of our players are coaching out in the community too, which is awesome. So yeah, we really try and do a lot. And I guess the final thing on that is on our home game days, we open up there's 3 turf fields outside of the SeatGeek Stadium that we open up to sort of first come, first serve bookings to local clubs to come and use that and then come watch the game afterwards. So yeah, we're trying to do a lot of stuff. We're trying to get out there. We're trying to, grow the game with the best we can. We think we're doing a good job of it, but there's always, room for growth in that aspect. So.
And you mentioned home games and game day. Do you have something that you can tell the Chicago fans?
Well, after the recently announced game in Nashville, just come out, support us down there against our biggest rivals, the Free Jacks. We're super excited about the Music City Showdown. It's going to be a great weekend. There's tons of stuff that's going to be lined up.
And you guys are chartering a jet for all the fans, so they fly for free.
Correct. No, unfortunately not. But we are working on some packages and all that sort of stuff to make the travel as seamless as possible. We're excited to bring the MLR to a new market. And as our owner, Peter talked about on one of the other shows, part of our job here is to grow the sport, grow the league, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, we're really excited about that. And I've been down to Geodis Park and where the games we played in Nashville. It's an unbelievable stadium, probably one of the best facilities that we could hope to play rugby in America. And they're going to be fantastic hosts, and we're super excited.
Will, just briefly, I got a new segment called You're the GM, where I ask you questions, and as a GM, you have to make the choice. Thomas Ramos or Antoine Dupont?
Ramos.
Ooh. Richie McCaw or even Etzebeth?
Etzebeth.
Joe Taufete'e or Andrew Quattrin?
Andrew, he's the local Chicago boy.
Well, no, Andrew Quattrin.
Oh, sorry.
I'll say that again.
I thought you said
Joe Taufete'e or Andrew Quattrin, the Q train?
Big Joe.
Wow. No doubt, no hesitation whatsoever. All right. Mr. Will McGee, the GM of the Chicago Hounds, thanks for coming on MLR Weekly.
Appreciate it, Matt.
We'll be right back with Pat Clifton in the College Rugby Corner after this.
Digs like a demented mole there.
It's 2026! Different year, new opportunity, and where does that start with? Your health. Health Enhanced Food is here to be able to make sure you get on the right path. We got 17 baking mixes just to be able to help you set you on your proper pathway. Whether you're taking it from the spectrum of ketosis, needing keto diet, gluten-free, or you need something more serious because you're diabetic, have renal failure, it's time to bake yourself into the best form that you ever have been. Head to healthenhancedfoods.com, use code RugbyOdds to be able to get 25% off your first order. And of course, Matt, no, just stop talking. Guys, stop him.
You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now. This is the Rugby Odds, where an unlikely pundit panel of a wordsmith
a WWE legend, a rugby star, and a supermodel scour the globe, seeking best bets and bad behavior. Are you not entertained?
Going in like a wildcat.
And we're back on the College Rugby Corner with Pat Clifton of the College Rugby Show. Pat, welcome back to MLR Weekly. It's frigid across the states, but you had a hot weekend in Atlanta.
Let's call it that, honestly. Let's call it a hot weekend. Atlanta was bananas, so they expected to be under ice Sunday. I assume it was. I got out of there Saturday
Did you say
night.
the Savannah Bananas?
Well, that's right down the road.
Atlanta banana. And Atlanta was bananas.
Atlanta was great. We had the first ever women's 15s All-Stars. It's always been sevens. So we had the conference sevens. 16 teams showed up. A couple teams couldn't make it because of the weather. But 16, that's great for a bracket. So that's what they did, a knockout competition. And Tri-States won it, coached by Austin Ryan at Fairfield and Sienna's Greg Matthews. They had a great tournament. And they had Leanna, I can't think of her last name off the top of my head, but from RPI, so a Division II school. That's what the All-Stars is about. She ended up winning the MVP of the tournament, and so somebody that nobody had heard of coming into the weekend scored a boatload of tries, and from a small school like RPI. So that was awesome. And Tri-State, it was their first ever time fielding a team in the sevens competition. They won it. On the 15 side, it was Nancy Keckner and the Stripes. She caught a lot of heat behind the scenes for her drafting because she didn't have enough props and maybe drafted too many of her own University of Virginia players, but boo to that because she went undefeated. They went 3-0, and the Stripes won the competition. And it was one of her players, Lenny, who was outstanding at center from Virginia, that won the tournament MVP. So great job by Keckner, a culture-first coach. The secret ingredient to this win, Matt, ice cream cake. When she walked in to meet her team for the first time, she presented them with ice cream cake. They gathered around it. And that was the glue that held them together all week, no?
All right, Pat, that's in the rearview mirror now. What's ahead of us?
It is 7th season. Now it's all about the road to the CRC. Pretty cool tournament, that Collegiate Rugby Championship. Been running since, 2010, I think it was. Yeah. So an amazing tournament, and 144 teams are going to be back in D.C. at the Maryland Soccerplex, which the name is underwhelming, but if you go there, it's like... Oh. The perfect venue for sevens. Fields are all on top of each other. You can watch 2, 3, 4 games at a time. It's awesome. So it's all now about the road to that. The first qualifiers start here the first week in February, and everybody's transitioning from 15s to 7s.
And on that note, Pat, we are out of time. So thank you to Mr. Pat Clifton of the College Rugby Show. Thank you to John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning, and thank you to Will McGee, the GM of the Chicago Hounds, and thank you for tuning in. Please check out the Rugby Odds. It's a doozy this week. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, sign up for our weekly newsletter, and please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.